Here we will discuss some important questions related to the chapter Matter in Our Surroundings. Our first question: the smell of hot sizzling food reaches you several meters away, but to get the smell from cold food, you have to go close. Why? Now, if you look at the image, we can see that we have a side dish which is very hot, so you can smell it even if you're sitting quite away from it. But at the same time, you have sauces there which are cold and you will not be able to smell that. It is because when you have hot food, the particles in that have high kinetic energy, because of which they can diffuse faster. They can diffuse faster and reach you several meters away. And one more thing to note here is the rate of diffusion increases with increase in temperature. So higher the kinetic energy, faster will be the movement of particles, faster is diffusion, and you can smell the food several meters away. A diver is able to cut through water in a swimming pool. Which property of water does this observation show? Here we need to consider the two properties of particles of matter in liquid state, that is the interparticle attraction and interparticle spaces. So a diver is able to cut through the water because water has less interparticle attraction and more interparticle spaces. A rubber band can change its shape on stretching. Is it a solid? Of course, it's a solid. It does not change its shape on its own. It changes its shape when pressure is applied, when we apply force, when we pull it, when we stretch it, only then it changes its shape. But once that force is removed, it regains the shape. Hence it is a solid. Sugar and salt, when kept in different jars, take the shape of the jar. Are they solid? Now if you look at the image here, you can clearly see that sugar and salt are not continuous. Like all other matter, they are particulate. So you have many individual sugar crystals or salt crystals which are present. The structure of these individual crystals is not changing. All the crystals together, they take the shape of the jar. But each crystal retains its shape, which is the property of a solid. So sugar and salt are solids. A sponge is a solid, yet we are able to compress it. Why? Now in the image you can clearly see sponge has many minute pores. It has many holes in which the air is trapped. So whenever you're compressing it, the air is expelled out. And when you release the pressure, when you stop compressing the sponge, the air gets back into those minute holes and the sponge comes back to its normal shape. So you're able to compress a sponge because of the minute holes, and those holes are having a lot of air filled inside it. Give the full form of CNG and LPG. These are two things that we use in our daily life. CNG stands for compressed natural gas, which is used as a fuel, and LPG is liquefied petroleum gas, which is used at home for cooking. The mass per unit volume of a substance is called density. So to calculate density, you will have to know the mass and the volume. But one fact that we know is uh, in solids, the particles are compactly arranged. In liquids, they are a little further away from each other, and gases, the particles are much away from each other. So solids have highest density liquids have lesser density, and gases have least density. So we have a list of substances here, and we need to arrange them in increasing order of density. Now, increasing order, that means you need to start with the least dense and you need to move ahead with the most dense. That means we will start with gases, then we will move to liquids, and then to solids. So we have two gases here. One is air and the other one is exhaust from chimneys. Now we know exhaust from chimneys will have a lot of impurities. It will have a lot of dust and solid particles. So obviously that will be denser than air. Then under liquids we have honey and water. We know honey is denser than water. In solids we have chalk, cotton and iron. Obviously chalk you can break easily, that means it is less dense, and iron is very difficult to break, so it is highly dense. Whereas cotton, even though it is a solid, we know it is very porous. You know it's very light. It's very light. It is so light, so less dense that it has to be placed before water. So your answer will be in this order. Air has lesser density than exhaust, which has lesser density than cotton. So if you notice, cotton is a solid, but it has lesser density than water. So cotton has to be written before water, honey and chalk.